I'm Sarah, and this is a live for people who are deconstructing or questioning their faith and just kind of want a place to talk about it. So if you're watching this back on the replay, hi, thanks for coming. You'll see there should be a button to push so you can see the comments that come up on the bottom, and then we basically just chat by me responding to comments. So that's usually how the lives go. I try to have oh, hey, John. Oh, that's okay. I don't usually do them on Thursdays anyway, so no worries. But glad to see you tonight. I'm going to wait until we get a few more comments, and then I'm going to move it over to subscriber only so that we don't get all the crazies. Hi, Spark. Good to see you. Hello, hello. I have my world's biggest mug with me today. Hi, Lem. J-Cal. Oh, gosh, John, I bet. Hi, Brandy. I have the animals with me too. Minnie, hi. Hi, Bailey. Let's see. Wait, how do I flip this? Oh, there's Ruby and there's Checkers. So I have all the friends here to hang out tonight. Checkers, you want to come up here? No? Okay. Hope you guys are all having a good Tuesday. Those are my animal friends if you haven't met them before. Yeah, they're the best. For anyone who's new, I'm Sarah, and this is a place for people who are deconstructing their faith or questioning their faith. Hi, Jamal. So usually I'll try to pick a topic, but to be fair, I have kind of the same couple topics. Hi, Shelby. Ah, Guten Tag. Atheist Anonymous? Well, kind of. What is this stream about? So this stream is for people who are deconstructing their faith or questioning their faith, and you just kind of, oh, well, now it's officially time to, hang on, let me moderate this so we don't get the really odd comments. So now, did that do it? Ugh, I had trouble doing this last time. Hang on. Subscribers. Yeah, there's some crazy comments that we get. Ugh. Why does this not? Sorry, I'm just trying to set it so that we can only have subscribers, and I don't know why it's not working. Okay, I'm gonna try again in like a minute. Hang on, Tom, just a sec. I'm trying to get to all the comments, but oh, there we go. I don't have my moderators on here, so I'm doing it. Well, I have one. Okay, let's see. I know I'm trying, my sub only button is just not working. I'm setting it, and it's, I don't know why it's not. Ah, finally, I got it to work. Okay, now I can come check the channels. I mean, the comments. Jedediah says, what does it mean to deconstruct religion? So That means basically that you are just critically examining your beliefs. Like, why do you believe what you believe? And where did those beliefs come from? Um, let's see. Tom, I don't see your question. Can you put it in again? Hey, Dr. Joe. Yeah, woohoo. Minnie says, I'd rather face oblivion than live in fear of a God who condones the horrendous stuff in the Bible. Much better choice. Um, yeah, I have been surprised at the number of conversations I've had with Christians who say, yeah, I mean, I don't know, God does some bad things, but I'm terrified of him, so I stay in this belief system. Not many of them will say that directly, but several have, which surprised me. I'm going to scroll back and see if there's any other comments that I missed. Random says, I left my faith after my aunt got breast cancer and died. If God has a plan and wants peace on earth, why would he do such things to my loved ones? Yeah, I completely understand that. A God who is loving and powerful, doesn't make sense that that God would allow terrible things to happen. Yeah, Joshua, that's being Christian through coercion and fear. And I think the existence of this idea of hell, however, if hell is some way eternal suffering, then you can't ever really say that your whole religion is just about loving God, because you also have this threat hanging over your head. Tom says, I woke up chewing a lemon, meaning I had a distaste for life. I have no idea, Tom. I'm sorry. I don't know what any of that means. Yeah, Dr. Joe says it's like an abusive relationship. And the way I hear some Christians talking about their beliefs is kind of like that of God is basically saying, like, look what you made me do. Oh, thanks, Charles. I appreciate that. Rando says, I'd hate not seeing my mates or family if they were in hell and I was in heaven. What if it's the opposite way and they missed me because I was in hell? I mean, yeah, all the more reason that this idea of hell is cruel, and the idea that heaven, if heaven is supposed to be a place where there's no sadness and no pain, wouldn't make sense if your loved ones weren't there. Eternity without my goldfish and I'd rebel. That's fair. Yeah. Well, and I think pets make a really difficult question about heaven too. Yes, she did, Joshua. Hi, put your name. Good to see you. Hi, Colton. I know you all may come from different, theological traditions, but um, one of the things I talk about a lot is this idea of hell, because I think it does, that idea that you deserve eternal torment really does something bad to your self-esteem and to how you view yourself and how you view the world. Hi, Catherine. Well, thanks, Rando. Hey, Winter. Oh, well, thank you, Catherine. I appreciate it. Mike says, wasn't hell made up? Kinda, yeah. I mean, it depends, right? It depends on who you ask and what references they're using. How often are you planning on doing lives? I do them every Tuesday night and then sometimes on Thursdays. I'm also over on TikTok too, though. Okay, well, welcome, Catherine. Kevin says, I feel these are all stories made up to bring meaning or explanation where there isn't one. Never feel the need to have a clear narrative when the reality unravels itself in amazing ways. Yeah, I mean, I do think that is one of the functions of religion, is to help us tell a story about our existence that makes sense to us. Sure. Roman says, hi, I'm a Christian, but I kind of wanted to listen for a while and see what y'all had to say. Is that okay? Yes, definitely okay. We do ask that you don't like try to convert others or preach to others, but you're very welcome to come hang out. Are you an atheist now? So I consider myself an agnostic atheist, meaning that I don't believe in God, but I also don't think that I can ever really know for sure. Oh, from St. Vincent, how fun. Um, A-hole, is that your username? Hi, Atif. Miranda also says religion also helped the royals stay in charge. Was a big thing about society and law. Yeah, I mean, certainly throughout history, religion has played significant roles just in the maintenance of society and societal norms. What is... So you believe in Mother Nature? No. Hi, Rusty. So no, I don't believe in anything supernatural. Um, hmm. Where does the idea of Mother Nature come from? I don't know. Mythology about the existence of how nature works, I guess. Do you ever pray? No, not any longer. Atif says, can God just mean the people and conscience? So, I mean, certainly we could decide to define God any way we want. Usually, when people are using the term, they are thinking about a sort of a separate, powerful entity. But, I mean, that definition may change with time. Hi, Charles. You have the same mug? Well, Atif, I actually painted this myself. So I would be very surprised if you had the same one. You could tell what a poor job I have done. Lem says, I recently became an annihilist that people don't live forever in hell. Although I know that doesn't really make hell much better. If hell did exist, what do you think would be the best version? So, I mean, yeah, not. I think eternal suffering is the worst version. And so, I mean, certainly just ceasing to exist would be way, way better than being tormented for eternity. Thanks, friends. It's not a cup, it's a pot. Thanks, Winter. I believe you, Atif, though. I'm sure you have one similar. Mike says, how do you stay out of addictions and depression without God? So, I certainly have other types of support systems. I definitely utilize therapy. I think therapy is such a helpful tool if you have access to it. I also have a really strong support network, friends and family that I can rely on. So I have other mechanisms to help, keep my mental health healthy. Kevin says, people always like to redefine the meaning of God. It fits their ideal and way of seeing reality. And, I don't have a problem with us as humans kind of redefining what we think God is. But it can make the conversation difficult if we don't all agree on a definition. Hi. Bailey says, I find it kind of fascinating how to some, non-existence after death is peace, like me, but to others, non-existence is suffering or hell. Yeah, and I agree. I think it is interesting. Because I have seen many people be like, yeah, I don't want to exist for infinity. That's too much. And others saying, no, that would be terrible to not exist. Thanks so much for the super chat, John Paul. I appreciate it. John says, I'm praying for you. Repent and believe in the flying spaghetti monster. Don't want you to boil in a pot as a slightly undercooked fettuccine for eternity. Certainly not an undercooked one. Dr. Joe says, Mike, in 2 days, I will celebrate 34 years sober. I am an atheist and a specialist professional. Yeah, I think, Mike, if you are looking for some other resources, Dr. Joe is such a great one. So I would definitely recommend reaching out to her. Oh no, John, $40 parking ticket. That's terrible. Mike says, how do you respond to the religions that believe in reincarnation? Well, I mean, similarly, in that I don't see any evidence for reincarnation. That's not proof that it doesn't happen. So it's possible that it happens and I just don't have any evidence for it. But I don't believe in it because I don't see any reason to. Atif asks, what do your parents think about the conversion? Full support? They fully support me as a person. They do wish that I would believe again, though, for sure. Rando says, I dislike the people who say about God's wonderful creations, but never look into how nature works. It's wonders like the Portuguese man o' war shows how multiple organisms or cells can specialize. Yeah, the I get frustrated with that comment too, where people will say, look at the trees, right? Look at nature. This is God's perfect design. And I do sometimes want to say, well, how much do you know about nature? Like how much do you know about the way that nature functions? Because yeah, I agree that the natural world is beautiful and it is a cruel, cold place. And there are horrifying things that exist in nature as well. Yeah, beautiful and cruel and dangerous. Yeah, there are some naturally occurring things, and even sometimes not beautiful. Some things are ugly in nature, and that's just how it is. um, how do you stay positive with all the negativity in the world? Well, I mean, I am certainly not always positive. Um, I do think some of it is genetic, like that is my natural disposition. Um, I also, yes, I tend to be kind of Pollyanna in the way that I view people. Like I think that people all have the capability of doing good things. Um, but I try to fill my life with things that I enjoy and that give me meaning. But again, I'm not positive all the time. Can you find the truth from doubt? I mean, doubting can help you examine your existing beliefs. So, doubt could certainly um, start the process. I don't think a doubt in itself is, doubting is a process of examining, which I think can get you to better information, if that answers your question. Hi, Kyler. Do you doubt everything? I don't think so. Winter says, our personalities determine our choices. Our choices do not determine our personality, I guess is how I see it. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, there's no debate nature versus nurture because we know that it's both. You certainly do have a genetic disposition and also the events of your life and it can shape how you act in the future. So, yeah. Hey, Matthew. Are you still leaving faith or you already left? So I stopped believing in God in 2009. So it's been a little while. Kevin says, I started a secular student alliance at NC State. I'm all for healthy discussion and religious debate. What I have seen with deconstruction, it works when they play with similar beliefs but different ideas. Nice. Why what, Rod? Did you go to college? Yes. I studied physiology. So yeah, Rod, as a couple people have tagged you, I have an FAQ playlist and that gives you like the whole backstory. Hmm. Yeah, winter, some things you just know. Thanks, Joshua. Yeah, anatomy and physiology are tough courses. Hi, Zach. Well, I'm sorry it was cringy for you, Nate. What are your thoughts on pantheism and non-duality? What's non-duality? Are you in the medical field? No, I teach physiology. I'm a professor. Winter, you still remember A&P? Nice. Did Jesus have any extra special bones? I don't think so. The universe is just one collective consciousness. Oh, all right. I mean, I guess I don't know how you would know that, like what kind of evidence you would have for that. Is that just like the explanation that seems to resonate with you the most? Like it just seems to make the most sense? Hi, Stephanie. Oh, Stephane. Oh, Atif, you taught A&P at community college? That's amazing. Let's see, my favorite part of physiology. I don't know. I think I'd have to go on like a long tangent for that, which is probably not why you all are here. Kevin says, professors tend to be pretty secular. It's a good environment for that, do you think? Honestly, it really just depends. It depends on the university and the surrounding environment. There are many universities where the majority of the faculty are religious. So it just depends. Oh, it's from Carl Jung. Sure, like Hillsdale College, that would do it. Oh yeah, I mean winter astronomy is cool. And to your earlier point, I was never very good at the artsy stuff. So, we all have our strengths. Um, Amen. If you want to hang out and be in this space, that's fine. But I do ask that you don't try to convert others or preach to others. Kevin says, you'd be surprised how many professors in religious studies are pretty secular or don't go to church. Yeah, I mean, I know that's relatively common for um, yeah, professors of religion in general, and even, Bible scholars lean more agnostic, although they're maybe not very loud about that. But on the other hand, I mean, in academia, I think it's 51% of faculty believe in God. So it just really depends on where you're at. Joe says, I've learned too much to be converted back. That is the experience that a lot of us have of like, you've seen something you can't unsee. And the arguments that you used to find convincing just aren't convincing to you anymore. Do you think bacteria has intelligence? Not in the way we do. What do you think is the best evidence for God not existing? What do you think would be good evidence for God existing? His lack of being here, like we can't see or hear him. And every proof that people have of God is something that humans are doing. Well, this human told me this thing, or this human wrote down this thing, or I feel, a thought or an emotion, but there's no actual physical, tangible presence of God. So that is what I think is the most compelling. Yeah, Nate, I don't really talk politics on these channels, not because I don't think it's important, but I do want the lives to specifically be for people who are deconstructing and want that space. And so I feel like as soon as I dive into political topics, then the discussion is just like a debate about a political topic. And again, I think that's important to do, but not here, like not in this particular space. Atif says, what about infrared or UV light? We can't see it or hear it. There may be some energy that we are not sending. So certainly things exist that we cannot see or hear. I agree. But we can still measure them and test them, and they behave in predictable, repeatable ways. But there is no experiment or test that I can do to demonstrate God either. Do you believe Christianity has the most evidence out of all the spiritual practices? No. But also, there are many religions that I don't know very much about. So maybe there's some religion that has a ton of evidence that I'm just not familiar with. Well, Atif, if you create a God litmus test, you let me know. I will be happy to do it. Kevin asked, would you require a miracle to believe in God? I feel like for me, it would require that. I mean, I think I would require some significant evidence, more than a coincidence, or more than finding an ancient writing. Like I would need something really concrete, I think. Doug has the most evidence. Chris says, I recently lost my faith as well, but I'm in a circle of believers who are currently praying for me to fight the good fight. Chris, is that something that you find encouraging, or is that something that you find frustrating? Oh, well, thanks for watching, Joey. I appreciate it. Thanks, Atif. Chris says, well, good question. I was frustrated with my church and a bit confused, but I learned not to let people get between my relationship with God. Yeah, I think it's such a difficult place to be in, and definitely something you just have to kind of work your way through until you find what you think is real and true, whatever that is. So I'm glad that you feel supported in that. So that's good. Je ne parle pas français. I forgot. Boo, bien. Thanks, Joey. Joshua says, do you believe in aura? No, I don't. Mike asks, what made you dissociate from religion completely? Didn't you find it hard to cut off a God? Well, so I just don't believe a God exists. So it wasn't like I was cutting somebody off. It was just the realization that, oh, nobody's there. Did you, Bailey? Someone asked if I spoke French, and I only took French for 2 years in high school, and I remember very little. Oh, I have no idea, Kevin. I don't have a take. Hi, Rose. Hello. Oh, I don't know, Stefani. Hi, Room 9. Oh, Rose speaks French. Someone asked me if I spoke French, and I basically very poorly said that I didn't in French. Lem asks, is there any way for Christians to have good, deep conversations with our atheist friends, or is it best to just leave certain topics alone? Yeah, there's absolutely a way. But I do think the key is like what your goals are in the conversation. So like I sometimes still have deep theological discussions with my dad. And, my dad is still a very devout believer, but my dad and I have, like, there's a lot of trust, and, I know he's not trying to like get one over on me and be like, haha, I win. It's safer to have the discussion because it's safe for both of us to be like, oh, yeah, good point. Like, yeah, you're right. And so I think if the conversation comes from a place of, hey, we're both trying to figure out what the best interpretation is here, or the best argument, or whatever, and there's no winning and losing. Yeah, I think you can have great conversations. Well, thanks, Dr. Pizza. Joe, I can't right now, but someone can send him a message on TikTok. Wes, no, this is an ex-Christian chat. Rose, you want me to say it again? All I said was je ne parle pas français, and then I couldn't remember the word for like I don't speak it well. It was pretty bad. So do you know a lot about the word? How long were you a believer? I do, yeah. I was a believer for about 20 years, and I've read the Bible cover to cover several times, did a lot of studying. So yeah, I'm very familiar. Rose says that's rough. I know, it's terrible. Like, you cannot take me anywhere. Mike said, also, what if God is energy? Well, then I guess God is energy. Thanks, Chris. Hi, Finding. Yeah, Wes says, that's got to be crazy to believe for 20 years and realize it may not be true. Yeah, it was. It was really difficult for me. It was earth-shattering, like my whole life turned upside down. Hi, Shadow. The Unchurched says, my dad was an atheist, so I understand atheists quite a bit. He had a live and let live attitude. He was a great dad. Talking to him was fun. Oh, that's awesome. Bailey says, if God is energy, wouldn't we be God? Aren't humans energy? We use energy, like we have energy. I don't know that that is what we are. Okay, Mike. Rando says, one thing I don't understand is a holy book being used as evidence of their God. Anyone could have written it. If it was written with God's words, we've had thousands of years to misinterpret. Yeah, I mean, some of it is that the belief that it's super accurate. Some of it is the belief that like prophecies were made in the beginning of the book and come true by the end of the book. Or that it's incredibly wise, but I certainly, yeah, I understand the complaint. Do you have an opinion regarding free will? I can't see it existing at all. Yeah. I mean, I certainly think if we have free will, or if we have the ability to make decisions, it's pretty constrained. It's our brain doesn't allow us to consciously make any decision. There's a lot of lenses everything gets filtered through. Do I still read the Bible? Only when someone says there's something in the Bible and I have to go look it up. Like, no, I don't think that's in there. So I look things up a lot, but I don't read it for edification. David says there's 5,000 manuscripts that make up the Bible. That's something I used to struggle with and how it might have been manipulated. Well, the number 5,000 is, I think, a little bit misleading. There aren't any originals at all. So what you have are early copies and copies of copies. So it's not like we have the originals still preserved. I struggle with Jonah and the fish. Yeah, that's a tough one, Joshua. Kendall says, and still not written in God's words, written by man's hand. It's really to make people feel bad for doing bad things, which is not a bad thing. Although sometimes it makes people feel bad for just doing normal things, like neutral things and human things. So sometimes it can be harmful. The Unchurched says the Bible contradicts itself in many places. Anyone who has really read it knows that. Yet other Christians debate with me constantly. Then I show them and they continue to act like it doesn't. Yes, welcome to my world. Yeah. Why do we have sociopaths? Just, genetics, a byproduct of evolution. Do you believe in Satan? No, I don't. So you don't have any spiritual beliefs now. No, I guess not. Hey, Oscar. Well, welcome. Thanks, Winter. David says, I agree that the culture or religious environments make you feel guilty, but the idea of living guilty or in remorse I have not found in the Bible. Have you read the whole thing, David? What do you think of NDEs? I mean, they're interesting, but I don't find them convincing. Thanks, Rose. Joshua says, I'm legitimately curious as to the theory of total oblivion. I don't know if I can say anything about it from a theological perspective. I mean, I do think that scientifically it's the most reasonable thing, or like most reasonable hypothesis for what happens after we pass away. I think we know that consciousness is tied to your physical functioning brain. So I think just not existing is probably what happens. Well, thanks for stopping by, Rommel. Hey, Otter, not too late. Fun question. Do you think there are aliens, or do you think we're alone in the universe? It seems statistically unlikely that we are totally alone. It is possible that the other life that exists in the universe is just too far away for us to ever interact with, though. Atif asks, do you think the world will eventually become totally atheist? No, I don't. I think religion, I imagine it will always be part of the human experience. Oh, do I? Do you know right from wrong? Yes. Oscar asked, has your life changed? It depends on what part of it we're asking about. In some sense, yes. I think my mental health is a lot better. My internal world has changed a lot. Externally, though, like to others, it probably doesn't look all that different. I'm still my same self, I still honestly have most of the same core values. And so it's not like I transformed into some completely, totally different person. Patsy says, the frustrating thing is, if there is a Christian God, she created us with all these inborn tendencies that she labels as sin, and then requires repentance when those tendencies are acted upon, or hell. Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of Christians try to sort of skirt around in conversation, is that, I mean, if God created everything, that means everything. And if God designed everything, that means everything, including our sinful natures. Matthew says, my views have changed a lot. My day-to-day life has stayed almost exactly the same. Phil, this is not the place to do all the Bible contradictions. They're pretty Googleable. Yeah, Joshua, it's definitely possible. Unchurched says, my mental health has improved leaps and bounds since I quit church. I'm still interested in spirituality, but I don't think I need the approval of other Christians. I'm a unicorn. Fair enough. How do you interact with colleagues when religion comes up? I don't really. Like, I don't discuss it at work. It's just not like, if someone wants to, lead a prayer or something, I just, I'll quietly sit and let it happen. Like, I just don't really bring it up at work. Oh yeah, Rose says, if you guys like connections or Wordle, you should definitely follow Matthew on TikTok and YouTube. So much fun. Bruce says, so is this a pro-God or anti-God channel? Well, neither. But I don't believe in God. So this is a place for people who are deconstructing their faith and want a place to talk about it. Oh, yes. The username is Matthew Plays Games. Joe asked, do you ever plan on consider letting people to call into your channel, or is it not in your scope? Yeah, I don't know. It's something I have considered. I'd have to sort of delineate, like, okay, these are my call-in days and these are my not, because I'm not I'm not in the business of debates. Ben says, I subscribe just to say I'm unsubscribing because I don't like that I just subscribe to comment. Ben, the reason I made it for followers only is because I was getting some horrible, horrible comments all the time. And it was just ruining the chat. And so when I put it on subscriber only, which again, subscriber doesn't mean paid, it cuts down on the crazy comments. But sorry to inconvenience you. Rose says, genuine question, why are unicorns a mythical thing? They can actually be totally real. It's just a horse with a horn, right? Yeah, unless you're part of the mythology that they had wings too and could fly. But I don't know if that has a different name. But yeah, it would, I mean, it's just like a skinny rhinoceros. Or a narwhal, yeah. Why do you think many of the eyewitnesses died for the sake of Jesus? Well, David, I don't know that we have a lot of proof that a lot of them actually did die for the sake of Jesus. Um, there is a lot of, um, I wish I could think of a better word, but for lack of a better word, exaggeration in the Christian community about the persecution of early Christians. And there was also just a lot of political conflict between the Romans and the Jews at that time. And so, you know, people were killed for lots of reasons, and we don't have a ton of great records. So I think it's an overstatement to say that all of the eyewitnesses were killed because of their belief about Jesus. Who created us if not God? Your parents. Yeah, Rose likes skinny rhinos. Oh, Pegasus. Well, that's fair, Bruce. Hi, Sebastian. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I mean, I have hopped on Justin's channel once or twice to actually do some more rigorous debates. And it is fun. So I mean, I'm not opposed to doing it on occasion. Well, again, David, I say like let's look at what evidence we actually have of that. Okay, Rose. So, Doc, what you're doing there is called Pascal's wager, and it has a lot of false assumptions in it. Sambo says, if God is beyond comprehension, then why do people claim to believe in him? You know, it is interesting. That happens a lot in discussions I have with Christians where we get to a sticking point and they say, well, you know, his ways are higher than our ways, or we just can't understand him. But then like, okay, well, no one can understand it then. Yeah, Lem, I agree in that Lem says, I don't like debates. Conversation is more productive. I mean, I think debates can be fun to watch. I don't think anyone's changing anyone's mind. Although sometimes for the listener, it can be informative. Oh, night shift, let's not use that word. Well, that's fair finding. I mean, certainly the lives we lead contain some truly terrible things. SM says, even if people were killed for their faith, that doesn't prove what they believed was true. It's a poor argument. I mean, certainly people willingly die for their beliefs in all kinds of belief systems. Yeah, Kevin, satire could be a great way to communicate. Thanks, Night Shift. Oh, yeah, Joshua, I've definitely been around a lot of Christians who speak in tongues for sure. Thoughts on Bigfoot? I'm sorry, Rose, I don't think Bigfoot exists. It's a huge bummer. Well, thank you, Sebastian. I do appreciate it. Sambo says, off topic, but I'm a little horrified that you keep the tea bag in the tea. You know, it is totally my ridiculous type B personality is that every time I make myself a cup of tea and I sit down, I forget to bring something to put the tea bag in. So I don't usually, but I don't have anything here and I'd have to get up and get it. And so yeah. I don't really understand type C, Rose. Um, do you believe in aliens? I mean, I think it's certainly possible that aliens exist. I don't know that I believe in like a conspiracy to hide them, but I think it's certainly plausible. Well, that's fair, Joshua. Type Charles. Which cryptid do you think is most likely to exist? Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster? I mean, probably the Loch Ness Monster, I guess. Oh, well, you're so welcome, Riley. Obviously, yes. Oh, good. Thank you, JS. I appreciate you taking the time to watch that. Abominable snowman for sure. Isn't the abominable snowman just like the northern version of Bigfoot? I don't know much about the gods of my ancestors, actually. I guess that would be like Norse paganism? Oh no, unchurched. Do you believe in love? And if you do, where did it come from? I mean, love isn't something you need to believe in. It clearly and obviously exists. It comes from your brain. Oh, that's awesome, Cindy. I always get so many goofy songs in my head after these lives. I believe in a thing called love. Nope, it's in my head now. Oh, that's really interesting, Sambo. Yeah, it is kind of dangerous to say that. Oh my gosh. All the songs. Would you prefer a zombie apocalypse or a robot uprising? Oh, now are these the traditional zombies that can't run or the zombies in that poor remake of World War Z where they could run really fast? Because if they can't run, let's go zombie apocalypse. Durius asks, is there objective morality? If by objective you mean some sort of law that exists all on its own, no. Well, yeah, teeth love does come from your brain. Sebastian says, zombies, they'd either rot in the sun or freeze in the snow. They'd only last 2 weeks. Well, have you read the book World War Z? Because those zombies lasted forever. What happened to my TikTok sub-only lives? They were just so small and we never really had anything to talk about, you know? Oh, Matthew, you'll love the book. It's so good. Oh, I never saw Resident Evil. No, Rose, I felt awkward because we didn't have anything to discuss. Okay, good to know. You're always ready to talk about holes, Rose. Kevin says, I believe in objective morality in a sense that it exists, that we are born with it. Yeah, although typically I feel like when Christians are asking me about objective morality, they are talking about it as if it's like gravity. Oh, SM, that's really interesting. I've never heard of that book. Yeah, I agree with you, Matthew. Well, friends, the time has come and my phone is about to die. So I do think it is time for me to say goodnight. Oh no, absurdist, I haven't. Hi, April. But I really appreciate you all coming to hang out. It was really a fun evening. I do this most evenings over on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, I have the same handle over there. And I'm here every Tuesday night and then sometimes on Thursdays. So thank you all very much, and I will talk to you soon.